It's like my dad, he shifted Google's voice so that she's got an accent now. Now she's Australian. Ooh. And I haven't gotten used to it yet. And it's loud, too. So, like, I'll be like, Google, turn off the basement lights. And she's like, all right, turning off 7 lights. And I'm like, oh, whoa, okay.
There's an imposter! Someone took over the robots!
Steve Irwin's on Google, what the hell?
Hello, Cinema
Hey, Cinema Peeps!
Wow, nailing it. Oh, okay. I got some beef.
Ooh, uh-oh, okay.
Beef-ish.
Spill the tea.
So, I think it was last week, I was, on the Instagram Explore page, and these things kept popping up where it was like, oh, Tom Wells and now Cisco are gone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I know.
And I finally caught up, and he does say, like, I realize they're both officially piecing out of the show, and I'm like...
After season 7, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
They don't prepare you whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why?
I know.
Why do this to me every time?
I mean, it's bound to happen at some point or another, but I was...
This is true.
Zena and I were even talking about this last week, because we watched the episode. She turned to me, and she's like, I don't like this season. She's like, I feel bad saying that, but I don't. And I'm like, I'm with you, honestly. And a lot of people, it sounds like a lot of people are feeling the same way.
I'm feeling some weird dips, to be honest. Like, at some points, I'm like, I don't care. And then other times, I'm like, okay, I'm back on.
Right?
Maybe I'm just too much of a naive person. I'm just like, yeah, I want to love it.
Well, but, I've been going back and watching it. Like, I'm in season 2 right now. I'm near the end of season 2. And it's just amazing how different it was and just how much more vibrant the story was. And I mean, at some point or another, the story's going to eventually start to, like, fizzle out. It did with Arrow, it did with Supernatural. It just happens, right? You can only take a story so far before it's like, all right. But I also feel like this season especially is getting hit really hard because of COVID, and there's obviously restrictions and certain things that they can and can't do, which also sucks. But I think we've talked about it too before, like the whole multiverse becoming just one Earth Primes also really like screwed everybody over. So I feel like, for the writers it's exciting because they get to start with a clean slate and do whatever they want, but for the fans it's like, where's that consistency, where's that thing that we can root for? It's just now we're kind of like, huh, what's going on? What?
Right.
Like, we're all kind of scratching our heads. But
I've been meaning to kind of look up what are they called? What do they call them? The strength force and the fear force or whatever.
Yeah.
I was gonna actually Google that and see like, if that's an actual thing or maybe they've made it up. Kind of thing. I was just curious to see what other origins they had, if they are like, because it's possible like maybe they don't have like necessarily like a Flash origin, but maybe they popped up in a different DC property and now they're trying to incorporate into this one, because that sometimes happens. Because
right now they're insinuating that it's from Barry and Iris, which I find a little weird, but I'm assuming there's a point to it. I'm holding out. I'm like, there's got to be a reason, like,
right?
So
although I do enjoy like clearly bad Nora. I'm liking her a lot. And I think that's why I fluctuate. Greg is like, oh, there are kids. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. But, like, when clearly, like, Nora's, like, crazy and, like... Yeah. I was even wondering at the get-go, I was like, something doesn't feel right.
Right?
I
was like, something feels off about her, and that was intriguing, but...
Right?
Yeah,
and I feel like that...
happens.
And those are the parts where I enjoy, and especially at the end of that episode where she's after the time guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to kill you, and you're like, oh my god. Yeah, so I'm even wondering if they even attacked her in the first place, if she made that up.
Yeah. So it'll be cool to see, because she must be this season's big bad. So we'll see, like, what happens. But everybody in the Facebook group that I follow, everybody keeps, like, holding out hope for Godspeed. And I'm like, is he actually going to show up? Or are they just thinking he is? Or
maybe.
I know there was, like, rumors for it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he appeared, right, with Nora's episode.
Yeah. But it wasn't actually him. Wasn't he, like, just, like, a drone or something?
Something like... it's been a while. I forgot. Or he used, like, the speed or something. I already forgot. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I would tend to agree that this season's, like, really weird for me. Yeah. But I'm gonna keep watching it, so...
Right? It's more at this point, it's kind of like what I did with Supernatural. I'm just waiting to see what they do. Considering, it's not been official, but I have a feeling season 8, if they don't do it, season 8 is going to be the last season, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
But even at this point, like Zena was saying, she's like, I kind of just want season 7 to be it, because I don't know how much more they can, like, push this unless they're able to just, like, after all is said and done with COVID and everything, they're able to kind of get back into something and then, you know?
Or they kind of do, like, a bit of a, not a 180, but maybe a time jump and incorporate the kids more, maybe?
Maybe.
Considering that now there'll be 2 open slots on the Flash team. So, I mean,
I won't lie.
Possible.
I was a little disappointed because I got excited during this last episode when Barry's like, guys, I gotta do it. I gotta go back in time. And I was like, oh, it's gonna happen. And then he didn't really. He was like, we can do it in a way where we're not gonna actually mess up the timeline and have another flashpoint. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, come on. You can't time travel and not, like, have something go wrong. There's, that's good plot.
I love how Kendra's like, something has to go wrong. Although, that whole nod with the eyeglass thing, though.
That's where that makes sense, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I even remember watching that first cut, and I know you were like, oh, maybe it was, Eva Wells, but I even just remember thinking, I was like, that's such a weird scene. Mm-hmm. But again, I forget that half this season was technically the end of season 6.
Right? Yeah.
So... Yeah, so with all that, it's also just very confusing.
It could be one of those things where, like, eventually if I'm able to get to that point and rewatch it all consistently, it might make more sense, but because we had such a gap between the two, it was hard. And I think we were also all coming down from the high of, like, Infinite Earths crossover because it was so good. So then trying to, like, understand, like, at least for me, I was like, okay, so how's this gonna tie in with all the shows? Like, what's gonna happen next? And so I was
still
just like...
good, but...
Yeah. So...
I was like, meh.
Yeah.
I think I still like the... what I already forgot what it was called. The Barry and Iris's wedding, I think, is the best one.
Oh, the not Invasion. What was it called?
No, I think it was
Crisis on Earth X.
Yes, thank you. That's what it was. Yeah, and then the other one was Infinite Earth. No,
there was Invasion, which is what introduced Supergirl into the group.
That was the second one.
Yeah. The first one was just Flash versus Arrow,
X.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crisis X, and then... oh my god. Elseworlds.
Elseworlds, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, that was the other one, yeah.
That was a good one.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, I hope the best, obviously, for those actors who are leaving Flash, obviously. I mean, I'm assuming there's no hard feelings, but I haven't really looked into it that much,
Yeah.
But I think, sometimes people are like, you know what, I want to do something else. Yeah. And that is absolutely okay.
Yep.
Stretch their creative wings.
Yep.
But on a different weird pivoted note, I don't know, maybe you feel differently about this, but again with Flash, because they made that whole thing where Caitlin and Frost are 2 separate people, but then just to have her thrown away in prison now forever, I'm just kind of like, what was the point of that?
Yeah. You see what I mean, though? Like, a lot of the stuff that's going on this season, I'm just kind of like, but why? Like, what are we trying to do? It's like...
So, like I said, I feel like it feels weird. Because, I mean, I was excited for the idea, obviously, like, to have, like, them to be their own people.
Yeah.
But then, just to kind of have her end up in prison. I thought if she got, like, the minimum 6 months sent, again. Also, I hate, maybe it's just because of How to Get Away with Murder, I just hate court scenes now in TV. Like, I don't care. I hate them now. They're just... Yeah. It's weird to say, like, oh, they're unrealistic. But I'm like, oh, how does this any... Whatever. I just don't want to get into it. I fucking hate it. Anyway, but when they had she had the possibility of only being there for a shorter amount of time, I was like, okay, fine. Give her a break and then she comes back and saves the world. Mm-hmm. But now that supposedly she's now without parole, I'm like,
Yeah.
And again, what's the point? But again, I couldn't remember who it was. I feel it was Candace who said it. I don't remember, though. And I'm pretty sure it was at Expo when they were doing the interviews. I think she talked about, because someone asked about, like playing doubles, because they do it on The Flash constantly, right? When they went to different Earths, they were always playing different versions of themselves.
Right.
And I think she was talking about, she goes, it's really fun, but at the same time, very exhausting.
Yes.
Because I guess, like, those days of shooting, you have to obviously play 2 characters, you have to play against yourself and against another double. So I do wonder, in terms of Caitlin Snow and Frost, if that was the reason.
Yeah. Maybe
to make it less exhausting. So, like, on one hand, I'm like, okay, maybe, just in terms of just logistics, but at the same time, I'm like, why bring up this story? So... Yeah. There's like a lot of things with it.
No, I agree. And who knows? maybe with a bit of research or a bit of digging, if they have, like, we might be able to find out. Because she also, like, the actress did just have a baby. So maybe she, you know, needs a little something less taxing to do, or, you know, maybe she herself feels the storylines over, or the writers. Who knows, right? Like, it could be anything.
That's true, too. The writers could be like, we're done with Frost. Get her out of here.
Right? But it's just, yeah, it's hard, because, like, again, like, as a viewer myself, like, I think back to that one episode not too long ago where she was facing the other cold dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that looked like it was a setup for a thing, and I was excited for it. It was interesting, because we kind of got to see, like, a little bit more of Frost's story. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. So it's like, oh, like, you teased me, and now, now I'm like... Okay.
And again, hate to bring it up for like the millionth time we've always brought this up, at least with the shows, is that unfortunately maybe COVID played a big role. Like maybe there was going to be a much longer thing with that, but because they've had to squish down season 6 as part of that.
Yeah.
And now they kind of have to probably condense some parts of season 7 to make everything fit.
Right.
That could be it.
And I think that's also too where it sucks, because like who knows? We could be way off in left field,
completely
right?
Speculating,
right? Completely speculating. Who knows? This isn't fact, but like it sucks as a creator of a show too. Even like I myself, if I had the control, as much as it would suck, I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather wait this out and be able to give the fans a full-on good storyline show that they want than have to like speed through it and like get rid of a bunch of things just so that we can like have something to show, right? But obviously everybody needs to make money, you know, it's their jobs, stuff like that, so I can forgive them for that, but it's hard when you love a show so much and then all of a sudden, you know, it just kind of like so
just kind of shits the bed and you're like, oh my god, don't do that,
right? But you know, it's happened with Supernatural. It's happened with other shows. It's bound to happen at some point or another. Sometimes you just don't know when to, you know, pull the plug, or people got to exercise their creativity in different ways. Some things work, some things don't. So
yeah, that's true as well. But yeah, we'll just wait and see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, and I mean, I'm no comic book nerd, so I don't know if you could answer this, or if you know, we might have to do some research on it. But like, I don't know how much of like what season 1 till now of Flash is based off of like stuff from the comics, or how much was it just like they took little bits out of places and kind of developed their own thing?
So when again, I think there's that expo, one of the expos, they were talking to some people off the Flash panel. I can't remember who anymore, but I think someone asked that question. I think specifically the question was like how much, like if they themselves read the comics to try to like get more information about playing their character. And for a lot of them, they're like, oh, we would dabble, but as they said, like the writers are kind of just creating their new medium or their own kind of version of the Flash. They do pull obviously inspiration from like certain events, so that again with like Flashpoint and stuff like that, so they do kind of, you know, pick and choose what they like, but they're still trying to create their own version of the Flash in their own world.
Okay, cool.
I'm assuming, and again, I would have to go through every single event to like pinpoint everything, but I'm assuming like at least maybe 40 to 50% of it is following the events truly.
Okay, cool.
You know,
interesting.
And probably there's some of their own kind of inspirational thing, which I think is important. I know for a lot of people it's like, no, I want the pure authentic, I just want it to be to the line. And like on some level I get that. I mean, if you've ever watched the fucking live action Avatar movie, you'd be like, what the actual, you had one job, how did you not follow anything? You know, but I get on another hand that like, I don't know, it'd be kind of boring. You know, if it was exactly right on the page. And I mean, on some level it could be cool to see it live action, but if you're just playing the exact same beats, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
even like the Star Trek movies, like the live action, not live action, but the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. I know a ton of Star Trek fans just like hated them, and even J.J. Abrams himself said, like, I think it was Into Darkness, he felt was the worst one he did, and I'm like, why? That I loved that one. I thought that like, everybody did a great job. The story was great. And I know, yeah, like you said, there was those fans who wanted, like, to a T, right? Mm-hmm. But I liked the creativity and how they kind of gave Khan a new... Like, he still does basically the same stuff, but they kind of gave him a new way about doing it, and they reversed the roles of, like, Spock and Kirk and everything, and it was interesting, because at least you knew what happened based off of the old storyline, but it gave you a fresh take. So it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess to some level, like, an actor's performance could probably, you know, jazz it up.
Yep.
But again, to me, if you're just going to follow the same beats, what the fuck is the point?
Right? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't get characters like, I'm trying to think. For example, Arrow, like Diggle. Yeah. He wasn't part of the universe, but that's something like the Arrowverse created. But I think now he is incorporated in the comics.
Yep.
You know, like, and that's really fucking cool. And the same with, I think, like,
Felicity, too.
Yeah, same. Yeah. She wasn't in it at all. What was my other thought? And I mean, I really like, and again, don't get too political, but everyone was really mad when they casted Candace because they're like, oh, she's black.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a white, which, that's, to me, it's the funniest shit. Ironically, because I remember when it first aired, like, I thought they did great. But I didn't realize that Iris was, I guess, supposed to be a white character until I watched the cartoon Flashpoint.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't know that at all.
And of course, there's this whole scene where I was like, is that his sister? Then they kiss. I'm like, okay, that can't be your sister. And I was like, oh, wait, you're Iris? Oh. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
But again, I like the actress who plays her.
Oh, yeah.
And I really like Joe and Cecile. Like, you wouldn't get those characters if, you know, you didn't expand the universe.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Wally West is technically a character in the comics, but even his, like, storyline in the show is really, really good, too, because it ties in with that family and everything.
Right? Yeah. So, like I said, I understand, you know, because I get it. I think that's I know I just made fun of picking and choosing what you want, but I think you still have to obviously keep concepts that are part of what makes that property the property.
Yeah.
Again, going back to that live action Avatar movie. Oh my! I remember I didn't even watch the cartoon show. Like, I watched it like here and there.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the movie in college, and even I, who maybe watched 3 episodes of the cartoon, I was like, this is not even close. You know, like, he didn't represent the world at all.
No.
Although I do believe it's going to make a comeback. I think Netflix says they're going to do a live-action version, so...
Oh, really?
We'll see how that goes. You know? So, yeah. And maybe, to be fair, like, maybe slightly off topic, but maybe I can't think of anything I'm that passionate about where I'd get that hold on. My words don't make sense. Like, I love Batman, you know? Yes. But I don't love it to the point where, like, I would get furious that they wouldn't follow it to a T.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like, in some ways, like, I oddly respect people who have such a passion and a love for something that they're like, this is what it is to a T. This is its essence. That's awesome. Yeah. But, like, I'm always open to things being a little different. Sometimes I'm resistant to that differences sometimes, but sometimes I'm, you know, surprised. I'm like, wow, this is a lot better. Or I can go, yeah, I was right. This is trash. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I guess it's fascinating. That's where, you know, the whole art is subjective kind of saying comes in. Like, you don't realize how different people's tastes are with things. Like, everybody's got a different form of creativity. Like Supernatural, for example, or I guess even Flash too. Like, but I'll give Supernatural as an example. For me, season 1 to 5, as I've said many times before, are like the best ones. That's where the story's consistent. Everything's like really good. I think those are that's the key essence of Supernatural right there. That whole thing. But there's plenty of people who actually love season 6 and beyond. Yeah. In particular, there's certain bits, you know, certain episodes in there where I'm like, yeah, this is funny, this is good, you know, I like this. And then there's others where it's just kind of like, there's nothing driving the story, I'm not invested, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But there's plenty of people who really, really like it. So it just goes to show, like, you know, my taste in story or whatever is different from other people's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we all have to remember that.
Yeah. Same thing with, like, the Zack Snyder Justice League. Obviously, there's people who really love it. I myself don't really like it, but, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
Although I'm always jealous of people who just seem to have, like, a really solid, like I kind of said earlier. I feel I'm very flippy-floppy. Like I said, with The Flash, I'm like, right now I'm not liking it. And then something will happen, I'm like, I'm back on board, baby!
Yeah.
But it's just, like, other people who I feel are just, like... They're so good at being like, this is how I feel, and they can articulate it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I feel like, when we were doing our Talkie Tuesdays in the beginning, when we were just doing the solo movies, I actually haven't watched in a while. Maybe I'm shitting on myself for no reason, but I feel like those early ones, I just wasn't very good, because I'm like, oh yeah, the movie was good. You know, like, it's like, okay, like, do you have any other, it's like, movie good.
Yeah.
I laugh, you know? And again, I haven't watched a lot of them, so maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I didn't give a good opinion.
Yeah.
But again, you could argue, like, what is a good opinion? What is, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I could see that too, because I feel like maybe we both were kind of that way, but I also, like, at the time, and I tend to catch myself doing it sometimes still too, is I'll watch something and then I won't, like, reflect on it. I'll just kind of give my, like, instant reaction to it, and I'm like, and then go back and I'm like, I don't know if I really meant that, or I didn't really explain much of what I actually meant, right? Whereas, like, now I'm trying to, like, make sure I, like, let it simmer and kind of, like, reflect on it a bit and then, like, give my thoughts.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I find a lot, especially with this Marvel marathon.
Yeah.
Again, all the movies are very good, but there's definitely some where I'm like, oh, and especially some that I was like, oh yeah, I hated that one. Then I go back and I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, and I do wonder if some of that is influenced by the reviews I've watched as well.
Yeah.
You know? Because, again, they're way better articulating things that they think are wrong.
Yeah.
And then I just remember that and go, oh, yeah, that must be why I don't like it, too.
Yeah, yeah.
But going back, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't like it as much. I'm like, oh, but I can see, like, okay, this is a little better than I thought before. But,
yeah, no, I agree.
You know.
Yep.
Who knows? People's opinions. And I guess you're also entitled to change said opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Again, on further reflection. And I feel it's always good to maybe watch a movie at least once or twice. And that's why I always find it, that's why now I usually, when someone's like, oh, what did you think of it? I was like, well, off a first watch, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
You know? Because, I don't know, maybe second watch, I'm like, nah.
I've always admired people who, like, there was one guy, I can't remember what he was basically saying, like, you know, when you watch a movie, you should watch it at least 3 times. Once for the first impression, second for the enjoyment of it, so that you can, like, now that you know what to expect and everything, you can go back and, like, you know, enjoy the whole thing, and then the third time to watch it without sound. Just so you can get, like, the visual story of it all, if you can understand the story through the visuals, you know, like, I guess that was more for an editing perspective, like, you can, like, watch the visuals and see, like, where the cuts and stuff are. Yeah, but I'm like, man, I don't know if I could sit there and watch a movie 3 times in a row.
I'm more thinking, I don't think I could maybe watch a scene without sound and be like, okay, yeah, I don't think I'm watching a whole movie without sound.
Right? Like, that takes a lot of focus.
That's when my phone starts coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Solitaire.
Yeah. No, I did the scene thing for Stranger Things one time. I took inspiration from, like, one of the scenes from Stranger Things, so I shut the, like, sound off and, like, tried to, like, focus on the shots and everything. But yeah, I don't think I could do a full, cool. Like, hour-long movie just without sound.
No. Although that reminds me of, in film school, I think it was one of our teachers who told us, like, just watch a movie. Just watch it. Don't try to, like,
analyze it.
Yeah, right off the bat. Don't try to, like, figure out how everything's done. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it, yep.
But it was very hard, because immediately you're like, well, how did they do this?
Right?
I want to know how.
Yeah, yep. I have a hard
time.
How
is this going to play in? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it for this week's podcast, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment below if you have any opinions on anything we've talked about today. Most of it was Flash and Arrow related, but that's cool because that's what we do all the time, really. So if you've stuck around this long, it's expected by now. But anyway, drop us a comment and subscribe to the channel. And you guys have a happy Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Hell yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Monkey.
And slow.